Thanks so much. Yeah, subtle flex, former football player myself, but Division III. So take it for what it is. If you want to talk to me about that, happy to tell you about running, routes as a receiver and all that good stuff. We got some football fans in the room. Who watched football this past Sunday? All right. Okay. Not the guy who said he wasn't a sports fan. I'm sorry. Football, we're trying to convert him into a football fan. Anybody root for the Jets? Woo! All right. Like me, we need a little support. So find that guy too.
I think it's about the Super Bowl continuing Detroit Lions who won last night.
They look good. The Lions definitely look good. Dan Campbell's got control of that squad there, so love to see it. But I digress. Thank you so much to Brand Innovators for hosting another incredible event here, and of course to host Diageo, these beautiful offices, and this bar over here to our left looks really nice, so we'll try to maybe hit that later. Let's get down to business. I'm sitting here with an incredible team from the NFL. We have Keyon, we have Claire, and Keyon. All have really cool respective roles, and maybe just to kick us off, I want to let you guys just introduce yourselves, give a bit more background to what it is you do at the NFL. Bonus points, maybe favorite player growing up or favorite cocktail. I don't know, take a pick, but a little icebreaker, we always love that.
Hello, I'm Moran. I work on the growth audiences team. I guess that's new, we just merged. So I'm on the global branding consumer marketing team. I work on all of our cause work, so anything really facing social responsibility, community relations, all of our initiatives that show up on field throughout the season that I'll obviously speak to a little bit later. And then, oh my gosh, sorry. My favorite cocktail is a gin and tonic, so I think I will be successful over there. I'm going to just say my favorite team is, I'm a big Eagles fan, and the first year that I started working here, ironically enough, I don't want to say that I'm the reason why, but the Eagles went to the Super Bowl and they won, so you know.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire Egerter. I'm also on the global branding consumer marketing team, specifically on the growth audiences marketing team, focusing on our youth marketing efforts. So really trying to build that lifelong affinity, engage with the next generation of fans. My favorite cocktail is also a gin and tonic, and my team is Chicago Bears.
Hello everyone, I'm Keyon Branch. I'm on the marketing board listed in our influencer social team, specifically influencer and cultural marketing. Our main goal is really injecting influencers, creators, and celebrities into the ecosystem of the NFL, whether that's in games, our spots, and different initiatives and things of the sort. I would say my favorite cocktail is a tequila sunrise, and my favorite player, because I'm a big Lions fan, is Cal Johnson.
All amazing answers, and I'm so excited to be up here with you guys today, talking about how the NFL is engaging this next generation of consumers. Obviously, we can't turn around, especially in the fall, without seeing the NFL out there. And I think we're going into week 5 next week, so hopefully it's been off to a really great start. But we know the NFL is really actively engaging consumers on many different levels, both nationally and globally, in so many different ways. So trying to pare that down into a 25-minute conversation is not necessarily easy, but we're raising the bar on inclusivity here today at this summit, so we definitely wanted to focus in on that a little bit. We wanted to kind of hone in on 3 specific areas, and it's definitely how the NFL is approaching diversity and inclusion in their marketing and their programming, as well as youth-centric programs. So we're going to be jumping into that a little bit. Also, innovative broadcasts and programs and partnerships that especially are tapping into Gen Z fans and the younger generation. That's a little more elusive, it sounds like, with the sports and pro sports is considered. So, jumping into diverse and inclusive storytelling, I'd love to start maybe with you, Keyon, and just on the talent and influencer side of things. How are you guys approaching diversity and inclusion in your day-to-day? And maybe some example programs that are great to highlight as far as what's really championing that part of the conversation.
Yeah, diversity and inclusion I think is the core of our program in terms of how we're selecting influencers, creators, and celebrities as a whole. Really making sure we're making all communities at the league feel welcome, whether that's LGBTQIA+, Latinx, women, youth, so forth and so on. I would say a program that we're highlighting right now is the NFL Arts Replay program that just launched a few weeks ago. It's a program and an initiative that highlights and amplifies BIPOC artists and their mediums, what they do, whether that's photography, graphic design, illustration. So we're telling their stories, and they're telling their stories of their passion through their art, from their community aspect and their love and their passion of football and what that means to them. And so for us, we're looking to tap into those audiences to really give them once the chance to tell their story, but also see how the connection to football and that along as well.
That's really cool. So you're tapping in, an artist with a specific team with that program, that you're creating sort of works of art that are displayed. Is it on digital? Are they coming underground stadiums or anything of that nature?
So the prompt we gave them was how you use your chosen medium to demonstrate your love and fandom for football. So for one instance, we have an artist named Johnny Merriweather. She's from Baltimore. She has done these beautiful sculptures. She's a queer woman. She's done these beautiful sculptures of Lamar Jackson. Never thought I'd ever see a bust of Lamar Jackson. It was so amazing. And going to her studio and watching her craft these clay figures and burning them, and have her tell her story of what it means to be a queer woman of color and be able to create these amazing pieces and to step in this environment, and especially to be able to, number one, get her message out to over 70 million fans across our social channels first, and then to come to Miami. We're doing an exhibit at Art Basel this coming December, which she'll get a chance to show that off. And then we're looking to also send that to Lamar, so she can really get that aspect of every tenfold. We'll get the social piece of it, we're getting that in person, as well as tapping into the player and our team side as well.
That's exciting. It's awesome you guys are showing up at Basel, and I'm sure Lamar will love receiving that. Maybe the next bus they'll have himself to the Hall of Fame. I'm sure he's pretty teed up for that. Keyon, I'd love to move over to you. Just diversity and inclusion, especially on a global scale. You guys are working globally, so maybe even some commentary around how you guys balance more of the U.S. national focus versus global, but also definitely some highlights that your team is working on with community growth that's really focused on the diversity and inclusion conversation.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I agree with Keyon. A lot of diversity and inclusion is really a massive part of all of the programs from a cause perspective. And I think we were talking about this, but my favorite one and one that's coming up is My Cause, My Cleats. That program comes to life in week 13. And it's really a special program. It's one where we're giving the players the opportunity, and really the NFL community, right? So it's beyond just players. It's coaches, it's staff, it's personnel, it's everyone. The chance to really highlight, use their voice and on the NFL platform to bring to life and highlight these causes and organizations that they support, that they're super passionate about giving back to, and wanting to bring awareness to these particular causes. I think there's just so much work that's being done across the league by the players specifically, and we're really looking to use our platform to really shine a light on that and bring awareness to things that necessarily don't get as much visibility, right? So we have a lot of programs that show up on field throughout the season. You might be familiar, last week we had the launch of Crucial Catch, which is our cancer awareness initiative, and that's really important to bring that main call to action there is with our partner American Cancer Society is bringing to life the fact that there's resources available and cancer screenings available for under-resourced communities, and making sure that people have access to that and know where to go to find their local cancer screening resources. So that's another important one. But that's one where that shows up on field. A lot of these other causes that are super important to these players are not ones that get that high visibility throughout the season. So I think that's a really big one, and the guys are really it's really cool to see how passionate they are and how much they want to give back and how involved they are. So really diving into that storytelling, whether it's through our advertising or it's through our social content. We also work really closely with Keyon's team for tapping into influencers who also share that same passion for causes, and maybe they're also doing work with an organization with the players. So just really, it's kind of tenfold, and it's really cool to see. So
definitely, Crucial Catch for the Sun sidelines were really nice, and Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, so it couldn't be more timely. My Cleats, My Cause, does every team get to have a player that participates in that, similar to sort of how everybody gets a nominee for the Walter Payton Award?
He's going to bring up multiple people
Nice.
here. Thank you. Yeah, so it's voluntary, which I think is the coolest part because there's so many players that do it, and like I said, not just players, but also just the clubs generally really get behind the causes and get involved. So it's a voluntary program. They can choose to participate. There's guys that will participate and have since the inception of the program and have supported the same cause. I think there's a couple, like Play 60 is one of the league initiatives, but there's a lot of players that support that and they're ambassadors in their clubs throughout the year. And this just gives an extra push for them to support it on a larger scale. I think to your point about international too, there's a lot of programs like I was saying, Crucial Catch, our partners in the American Cancer Society. So it's kind of hard, to translate that, internationally. But I think with my cause, I think it's an interesting one for players to tap into from an international scale, and we work really closely with the international team to help, highlight those players as well, include them in any of our content so that they can get more visibility in their, their international homes. And for Walter Payton Man of the Year, it's really interesting to see once you start looking into the players that and the causes that they're supporting, how they translate them to becoming Walter Payton Man of the Year nominees because they really are so passionate about it. And I think one interesting thing talking about growth audiences and really looking to engage that next generation of fans, we've seen over the past couple of years the love that younger generation has for a brand showing up and being that force for good. And I think one important thing from my perspective this year specifically is, it's a very sensitive time. We have an election coming up, and I think it's really important now more than ever for the NFL to be that unifying force. The sport is a unifying force, and really showing that, it takes all of us, and we can all work together like that. So I think that's what's really cool, and I think it's just like it's an honor to kind of help these players and communities show up in a broader way with our platform.
It's a great message. You delivered it awesome too. So we need your voice out here today on the Unified, for sure. I could think we could dive deeper into all of that, but I want to shift gears a little bit to something that I think is so exciting that the NFL is investing so much into, which is youth programming. I remember, basically begging my mom to let me play football back in the 4th grade. It was just you strap your helmet on and you get into a linebacker drill against guys twice your size, when you're in 5th grade. So that's a memory that's never left me. But Claire, it sounds like the NFL is really providing more youth programming, around the country and different communities, really putting a lot of resources into this. So can you dive into just how important youth programming is for engaging that next generation consumer, building the fan base from the ground up there?
Yeah, definitely. So from a youth marketing standpoint, what we're really trying to do is tap into those known fandom drivers, one of which being participation. So trying to get more kids and teens really to fall in love with the game and beg their mom and dad to want to play. So we know that kids and teens who play organized football when they're younger are 4 times more likely to be an avid fan in the future. And so one of the kind of critical ways that we can get more kids and teens and more groups involved in playing the game is actually through flag football. Flag is really that kind of key avenue for us to get more people involved in the sport because flag itself is inclusive. You don't have to be a certain shape or size to get involved. It's more accessible. There's kind of a lower barrier to entry, less equipment needed. Now more than ever too, flag really provides that future, especially for women and girls as well. There's opportunities to play at the high school level, scholarship opportunities in college, and then hopefully you all have seen already, but flag football is actually going to be included in the Los Angeles Olympic Games in 2028, which is super exciting. So, we already know that flag is kind of, I want to say up and coming, but it's actually already here. There's 3 million youth flag participants in over 100 countries. From a women and girls standpoint, 13 states have actually already sanctioned girls flag football as a varsity high school sport, and 18 more are in pilot programs. So it's here. The momentum is continuing to build, and so we, as the league, are just trying to continue to drive that awareness of the sport and legitimize it so people kind of shift their perception and realize it's not just a sport that you play once in your 6th grade middle school gym class, but it's something that you can actually, get into at an early age and continue on. And so trying to do a lot of things to really drive that awareness, drive that participation interest, with the perception of the sports, kind of elevate those key players that are already playing, and just kind of make flag more culturally relevant, which I think a lot of work, Keyon has done recently has contributed to that as well.
Already seen some chatter around the 28 Olympics with flag football and some sort of pro flag players saying, hey, don't tap the NFL players for that game automatically, because Pat Mahomes is going to want a gold medal like all his NBA friends. But it sounds like a lot of these flag guys have been doing it for a while, and now that the sport's growing, hoping to get their shine too. So that's really exciting. And we're all looking forward to 2028 in LA and having that sport on the ground. Keyon, can you comment on how the town influencer team is collaborating with the youth programs, and maybe even just your best practices, knowing you're using these voices to speak to maybe the youngest audience that you're reaching out to?
Yeah, I think on our end, like Chris said, we're definitely trying to support, more of that cultural relevance, really showing up at events where you typically would not see the NFL, specifically around flag football. So just to name a few, we recently just did the Summer Smash Music Festival that was held in Chicago, which was phenomenal. We brought an actual flag football field out to the festival, and we had team sign-ups. I think we had about 15 teams of 3 play and compete in flag football one-on-one, with the winner getting tickets to the next year's festival, as well as season tickets to the Bears game, which you would never get 100 people to fight for Bears season tickets. It was crazy out there. But just something like that, connecting with the youth who are at music festivals and are excited to learn. They're coming for the art, but just staying to learn more about flag. We're talking to more football. I would say another initiative we had is our tour that we've been doing, I think, for the last 3 years, with Destroying, who is a content creator and YouTuber who taps into the inner city cities and really goes and challenges some of the best local DBs and receivers to go one-on-one against each other, with the winner getting $10,000. For a 13, 14-year-old boy, winning $10,000 is miraculous. Now, what they do with that at 13, 14, no one. But it's been fine. We've been able to take that program to 30 cities across the country and then internationally. We just recently did São Paulo for our Brazil game, and I would say finally our Celebrity Flag Game, which has become one of the biggest staples for our team around Super Bowl week. Last year we were able to have 2 of the biggest hip-hop artists in the world at the moment right now, with 21 Savage and Mr. Booming Post, with a slew of creators and influencers at our Super Bowl experience. And that really drove some of the biggest results we've seen as far as driving attendance to Super Bowl experience, but also driving awareness across flag more. So really making sure we're staying culturally relevant and tapping into different markets so people understand that, like Claire said, flag is here, but also making sure we're including the youth, because like I said, we really want to make sure the youth is on board, whether that's starting with flag and transitioning to that more tackle approach, or staying full prong on flag.
You teased me about the music drops here, Keyon. So I'm the genius, guy, and we want to talk a little more about these music festivals in 21 and, Metro Boomin, but it's just even from your conversation on flag to the Pro Bowl and, all this exciting youth programming that is rolling out, and NFL is doing an incredible job of it. Really excited to, see that elevate and evolve over the years. We're moving along here. Definitely wanted to touch upon another topic around engaging, this next generation of consumers, and it's certainly these innovative broadcasts that the NFL has been, doing for a little while now, and it seems like there's no signs of stopping. I know you guys are all involved in these projects on different levels, but can we go into a little depth around just, what these innovative broadcasts have meant for the NFL, how they performed, maybe a little background into what they are in case anybody out there doesn't really know, and maybe what we can expect to see from the NFL this year and in the future that's exciting and new?
I can take this one. I don't know that I can touch on what's exciting and new. You all just will have to trust me and stay tuned that it's going to be something good. But sure, I'm happy to touch on that. I think, this from kind of that consumption lens, we know that the younger generation is consuming the NFL and their content generally just in a different way. We know that they're not going to necessarily sit down on a Sunday and turn on Red Zone for the entire day. So how can we kind of bring football and the NFL to them in a way that makes sense, in a way that's more kind of accessible and approachable for them? And so, one of the ways that we've been doing that is through something called alternative broadcast. So think of it as kind of like a tailored version of a live NFL game in a different type of presentation format. And a lot of the ones that I work on are the specific ones geared towards kids and teens. So we work with Nickelodeon and Disney to put together, last year with Nick, we had 2 youth-centric altcasts. One was around their Nickmas game, so the Christmas Raiders vs. Chiefs, which was kind of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed. And then hopefully you all saw that around Super Bowl, we had the first ever youth-centric alternative broadcast as well as SpongeBob, which was amazing. And then Disney, we actually turned the NFL game into Toy Story with our friends at Pixar. So the whole game took place on Andy's bedroom floor, which was really amazing. So I think, they're super fun. I think something that's important about these ones, at least for the youth audience, is it's really conducive to cultivating that co-viewing environment. So a parent will come in and, take their 6 or 8-year-old who maybe has no, little interest in football and say, hey, let's go watch SpongeBob on TV with football. It's kind of that first touch point and first connection that they can really make with the game. It's super fun. You have the characters involved, a lot of educational components as well. I'd say that's a really big one, especially with the youth allcast. We're kind of getting these new audiences to tune in maybe for the first time. Let's start to teach them some of the X's and O's of football in a way that really makes sense for them. So for Nickelodeon, we had a lot of segments with Dora, explaining what a penalty is or how, the downs work. And a lot of that's also really viral content too, like from a social perspective. So they're just really fun. It's really just all about meeting kind of our consumers where they are and bringing them football in a way that is engaging for them and that makes sense so that they feel that they can, start those viewing habits and something that they can continue moving on.
I really wish I could have been a fly in the room when that idea of hosting a game on Andy's floor came up. How that got through grass is really interesting. But it seemed like it was so cool and successful. I'm curious, sort of how is the league for measuring the success of those innovative broadcasts? And was there one that was really successful last year, or did they sort of tap into the average age that I was really hoping to with one or more of them? I think maybe just any more details on how you're measuring the success of those innovative broadcasts, knowing how different they are from the traditional games that we're all kind of tuning into on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one of the big things for us where we see the value of these is actually the social component on behalf of the allcast. Because again, I think when we thought of, fans earlier on, it was all about measuring just the straight live game consumption. But again, we know that this younger demographic is consuming NFL content in a different way. It could just be scrolling highlights on social or seeing clips on YouTube, whatever that is. And I think, like I mentioned, the SpongeBob's and Toy Story, they create these really viral moments about football that can be really well translated into social. And so, for, I believe the Super Bowl allcast, garnered like 42 million impressions, 56 million video views on the content just from that alternative broadcast. And so it's all those, there's obviously, it's key that people are actually tuning in to watch the game, but even if we're getting the folks on social, during or after the fact, seeing what we've done, again, it's that one touch point, it's that connection to just get them started with more viewing habits later on, and just realizing that NFL can be something that they can get involved in if they want to.
Who knows what'll be possible with Gen AI on that front? Choose your own football adventure for any game that you're kind of tuned into. Maybe we're not there yet, but as we kind of wrap up this conversation and looking on the horizon, and I think we could talk more and more about all the different ways that the NFL is engaging the next gen consumer, as you're just getting a taste of from this awesome team today. But maybe just go down the line one more time, if that's okay, and kind of hear what you're all sort of most excited about for today and the future in the NFL as it relates to your role and just sports in general and how we're consuming them today and how much that's evolving. Players as brands, and they're all becoming their own media entity at the same time too. So just anything that's kind of really got you excited in season, where you're seeing a lot of opportunity on that horizon. You want me to start with you there, Caitlin?
Sure. No, I think it's just so exciting that there's so much potential for us to still tap into. Obviously, you've heard from this crew too on everything that they're working on. But there's from like a non-fan perspective, I think that's another from the cause work specifically. I think that, like I said, that's something that the next generation of fans is super, super passionate about, and they want to see a brand using their platform to be, of that force for good. And I think that's a huge opportunity for us. So I'm excited to really keep that momentum and keep, driving it forward. With, lifting up the voices of the players who are already doing that work, or motivating the rookies that are coming in to get involved, and using those new players and new voices as a way to sort of keep driving the work that is already being done and really amplify it as much as possible. I think there's always another level that year over year I feel like we're never finished. We always want to keep doing something bigger and better, and I think it's really inspiring. Not only to hear from the players, but just to see the big work that they do on their own, and being able to use our platform to really amplify that is just so cool to me. I think one of my other favorites is the Walter Payton End of the Year, and I think that's an exciting one for people to really get to know the players and what they care about most on a different level too, and just see what they're doing in their own communities. I think just using that force for good, like I keep saying, and really building upon that. I think I'm just super excited to keep doing.
I think for me, more of a personal connection to it, as well as I think that there's a lot of opportunity in the fantasy space as well. Fantasy football is actually one of the main drivers for me becoming a fan. I do a family league every single year, and I think it's just a really amazing way to start getting to know some of our players. We talk a lot about kind of helmet soft storytelling, and it's really important for fans to have those personal connections with players and teams, and I think fantasy is really a great way to do that, especially if your team isn't necessarily doing well, like the last couple of years. And so I think that there's just a lot of fun opportunity there. I think that there's potential to do some sort of kid-friendly fantasy app. It's maybe a little less detailed than normal apps, but kind of gets them started in understanding how the game works and starting to get to know these players. I think that's a real opportunity. So I'm excited to further dig into that one.
I would say on my end, I think I'm most excited about continuing to really diversify our portfolio and engaging our fans, the younger generation, but also those creators of color, individuals who come from those underrepresented backgrounds, really giving them the opportunity to show off their work, tell their stories, but also really introduce them to the game of football. A quick story, we work with a group of creators called the Rainbow Dads. There are two male dads who actually are in the LGBTQI community and have a young son. They told us a story of how they've never felt comfortable going to football games as gay black men. They felt like their son was picked on because he had two dads. And working with them the last few years, we're big Bills fans, to send them to Bills games and let the community show that they are welcomed in that community, whether they're LGBTQIA and whatever the case is, has been something that's inspirational to me in helping them to push and drive forward not just the LGBTQI community, but others from different communities, and make them feel welcomed, and that this is not, the same traditional community that you've seen past, but the league is evolving and growing as a whole. So that's what I'm doing.
As a Jets fan, I never thought I'd say I'm proud of Bills Mafia, but that's really amazing. So you gotta keep up that same energy for sure. I've had such a pleasure, prepping and having this conversation with the three of you. Looking forward to seeing the NFL just kill it the rest of the way in 24, 25. We're probably nearing the end of our time, so maybe there's some time for Q&A around the room. Maybe we could take one question. Okay, that's better be a good question.
It's going to be the lucky one question. Hi, my name is Jackie. I work alongside Zach. You guys talked a lot about the unifying power of sport. There's also a really significant unifying power in music. How do you, and you mentioned Metro in 21, obviously, you know the story about the halftime show at Super Bowl. How are you thinking about the convergence of music and sport in trying to convert younger consumers and younger viewers?
I would say, and I think it's really leveraging those artists who are really relevant in cycle at the moment too. So even if you look at the 21 Savage and Metro, they had just dropped an album. and partnering with them on our celebrity game was a really impacted, first of all, driving their album sales, but also looking at the younger demographic that loves them. In essence, we also are sending different artists to different games, really building those relationships with the labels and also the artists themselves and connecting them with our clubs, getting them out there to meet these teams, connecting with our players, whether that's from content, because we know they have that younger fan base. And those people know that fan base is excited. So if you see Rihanna with Lamar Jackson, you're gonna be like, oh wow, I've never been a big Brandon fan or a Lamar Jackson fan, so maybe I should look into this more. So that's pretty much been like our strategy around looking at how we connect more of our music with kind of the artist support, because they definitely converge.
Many more moments aside from just the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl halftime show that's going to happen next year, but that's going to be a big moment too. But I think that was the only question we could take, so let's give a round of applause to the